In this decaying, sick, and quite honestly decrepit world that we're living in today or traversing in today, I think it's all the more important to have hard, fast rules, especially when it comes to relationship. Otherwise, if you just leave it to chance or you don't have any kind of rules, well, in this world that we live in today, it's really not going to work out. And chances are your relationship will just falter. So I figured that I make this video. And to keep in mind that this video is not all inclusive, there are other factors that you have to keep in mind, that you have to check. But I do think that these four things that I'm going to mention are rather essential, and it's really going to help out to make sure that your relationship lasts for a long time. So, without further ado, let's get started. The number one thing that you have to look at in a relationship, or the thing that you should have, is trust. And I know this might sound trite, but hear me out. Trust is the keystone that holds together a relationship. You can't really do anything without trust, which is why it's essential that you have it. And it's not the kind of trust that's just half assed, the kind of trust you give an acquaintance or maybe a friend. It's the kind of trust that you give towards your family or very close friend. And here's an analogy to to help you understand what kind of trust I'm talking about. It's like, for example, your significant other asking you to jump off a cliff. Now, I know this sounds insane, but look, when you jump off that cliff, you don't even think for a split second of why your significant other is asking you to jump off that cliff. You just do it anyway, okay? That's the kind of trust that I'm talking about. Because you know very well that that person is not trying to jeopardize you or your well-being, and you know that he or she has a very good reason do such an for asking you to do such an absurd and insane task. Yeah, and the thing about trust is that it takes a lot of time and effort to build, and this can last months, years, and even a lifetime. And the thing about it is that you just need one error, one mistake to completely eradicate it. You know, it's like virginity. Once you lose it, there's no way to recuperate it. And if this trust is broken, you'll always have that thought at the back of your head when when your significant other or spouse tells you something. You don't completely trust the person anymore because you've known in the past that he or she has done this. So it's critical that you safeguard this at all costs. Make sure that your actions and words are always in line, at least when it comes to the important things, like where you are, what you're doing in this specific place, and the important things about yourself. And the thing is, and I think this is not being highlighted in modern day relationships, is that you'll encounter many difficult and tempting situations in which your trust will be tested. So it's really vital, and I can't stress the importance of this any further. It's essential that you have 100% trust. I mean, not even 100%, 200% trust in the person. The next thing I want to talk about is if you're looking for a potential spouse in the world that we have today, especially in this really crazy and insane dating scene that we are traversing, make sure that the person's family is intact. Now, I know this may sound extreme because I'm not saying that a decent person can't come out of a broken family. What I'm saying here is that we're just trying to really put the odds in our favor. We're trying all of the fail safes, all of the backstops, to make sure that this relationship it does last. And I think making sure that your spouse's or your potential spouse's family is intact is rather important. And for a simple reason that he or she unconsciously emulates what he or she sees in his or her immediate family. It's the standard that he or she tries to adhere to. And if that standard is not great, what makes you think that he or she can pull off a good family once you start your very own family, right? And it also increases the odds that he or she is well adjusted, normal, and knows how to um, carry himself or herself in a family setting, as opposed to when he or she grows up in a broken family or a single father or single mother household or a family that's rather abysmal and just in complete shambles insofar as the relationships is concerned. So those are the reasons as to why I think a strong nuclear family is important, especially in this world today in which hyper individualism, atomization is the norm. You need some kind of backstop to make sure that this person that you're going to marry has some kind of standard to adhere to, and he or she comes out of a family with strong values, and he or she gives importance towards family. So that's the second thing that you should look for. The next thing that you should look for is resilience. Now I know that this might again sound um, trite, but resilience today it's very rare in individuals. I mean, you can see it. People are always complaining about really trivial nonsense, and of course, you don't want a spouse that just breaks down when things get a little bit rough. You want somebody who's resilient because um, nature by itself, life is difficult. You need somebody who's mentally strong um, to be with you in times of need. And it's also essential that this person supports you and stays by your side no matter what, be it an emotional hardship, financial hardship, or some kind of external event hits you. You better be 100% certain that whatever comes, your spouse is going to be there for you. And how do you scan for this? Well, it's easy, really. I mean, it's not that easy, but the longer you are with somebody, you're going to see it. So you have to look at your partner in difficult times, how he or she handles a difficult situation. Does he or she break down easily, or is he or she calm, cool, collected when it comes to difficult things in life, problems in life? And this is rather essential because look, the only time that you're going to see a person's true character or the strength of the person's resolve is when the person is subjected to difficult circumstances. It doesn't come out, or it's impossible to see this when things are easy, when things are sunshine and rainbows, or when things are hunky dory. So it's vital if you're going to look at a partner to see him or her in difficult circumstances, because this will be passed down later on once you're in a relationship and when you guys encounter difficult problems or situations. And also another tip with regards to resilience is that if you're looking for a partner, it's probably very smart to not marry a rich person. Now, It's not because I have a problem with rich people. And as a matter of fact, I went to school with these guys. That doesn't mean I'm rich, by the way. It's just that rich people are shielded from the realities of life, and they've always had it easy. And I also don't think that they're the best partner because they easily break down and complain when things um, get difficult or when things start to fall apart, which is inevitable in life, like I said earlier. So, why would you want to be with a rich person, right? When these people, they easily crumble in the face of adversity. It just doesn't make any sense if you're aiming for a long-term relationship. If you're gonna marry a rich person, you have to make sure that that person has some really robust innate qualities that he or she possesses, because otherwise I think you're just going to in most cases marry somebody who's weak, um, fragile, and quite frankly pathetic in difficult circumstances. So yeah, the next thing want to talk about is, and I think this is almost the same with trust in so far as the importance is concerned. Communication. Now, you always want to have an open line of communication for problems, concerns, issues that the person may have, because this is something that a lot of people don't really touch upon. But it's important, especially in a world that's rather polarized, in which people are just living in an echo chamber. They don't really listen to the other person. For instance, they sit across another person in a room. Yeah, they're physically present there, but when the other person starts speaking, they don't really listen to what he or she has to say. They're only waiting for the person to stop talking. Now, in a relationship, you want an open line of communication. You can't be that way. Otherwise, the relationship will falter and it won't last for a very long time, inevitably. And the worst thing about this, if you don't have communication, is that if you have a concern, issue, or problem, and it drags on without being addressed, that's a recipe for disaster. It always ends badly. So, if you have something like that, make sure that you address it as early as possible. If you're going to make it drag on, make sure it only lasts for a couple of days, but make it to a point that you have that difficult discussion. Because it's better to address the problem immediately as opposed to letting it drag on, um, letting that resentment and the grudges that you have, or yeah, letting those things build up. It's just going to be disastrous in the long run. That's what I'm saying here. And the important thing is you just keep going at it with that specific issue. You never yield, okay? There's never, oh, we just stop talking about it. If it's not resolved, find a way to find a middle ground, compromise. Because if that thing that's bothering you, you guys, you never solve it, well, that's going to leave how can I put it? It's like acid in a relationship. It's corrosive in the long run. You're not gonna see the effects immediately, but you're gonna see the rusts later on. So it's vital to have an open line of communication for anything. So yeah, that's it.